Andres in Mexico writes to me, Paul, how do you match subwoofers to the main speakers in the crossover region using your ear? Do you use special audio tracks? Something more? Regards from Mexico. Happy owner of several PS Audio products. Well, great. I love Mexico. I think maybe one of our next vacations, we're going to take the fam out to some great beachside place in Mexico. It's kind of close to Colorado. A lot of people do that. And it's just, well, I'm a huge fan of Mexican food, and I have a sweet spot for margaritas. I can't have too many. One or two is it. Otherwise, the next day I'm like, oh. So anyway, subwoofers. Well, we talk a lot about subwoofers, and of course, I'm going to be repeating a lot of what I have said before, but I think it's worth saying again, maybe over and over, because I've noticed people still don't seem to be getting the message that subwoofers are to be seen and not heard, maybe is a nice way of putting it. And by that I mean the subwoofer never should draw attention to itself. So you never want to go, oh, there's the sound. I mean, the best subs I've ever heard are big subs, but they're not drawing attention to themselves. The main speakers sound like they have bass up the wazoo, and that's of course where you want to be. So what do I use for that? Well, first off, I do it by ear, and we've talked about the old trick of placement, because one of the advantages of subwoofers, even if you don't use them to extend the bass, if you just use them to augment the bass of the main speakers, you do that by placing them in an area that is different than where the main speakers are. And you do that because of room modes. So every room has a mode where bass builds up, you get standing waves, it cancels, there's hot spots, low spots, etc., right? So one of the advantages of subwoofers is being able to move them around in the room so that from where you're sitting, you're in this perfect area where the nulls and the crests of the waves aren't so bad, right? Which is probably not where your main speakers are. And so that's one of the huge advantages of subwoofers. And we've talked before, it's easy, just take the subwoofer, if it's not too big, and put it at the chair, your listening chair, and then walk around the room and find where it sounds best, then reverse that process, and it'll sound perfect where you sit. Okay. So I have a number of tracks that I use. I've listed them before. If you look up Paul's Picks, just Google Paul's Picks, you'll find a number of tracks that I routinely use, not just for bass setup, but for stereo setup. You can also buy the Audiophile's Guide, which in the Audiophile's Guide, if you just buy the CD, if you don't want to get the book, and the CD has some great bass tracks on it. I routinely use those. It's Chris Brunhaver playing the stand-up bass. And we made sure that bass is just flat. So you do it by ear. Wherever you set your sub up, as Chris is going boom, 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 you want to get that as even as possible. So with that, you're turning the volume up until it gets noticeable, turn it back down to where it's not noticeable, and it's not that hard. And you just need something that you know isn't exaggerated. One of my final tests of a system is Thanks to You by Boz Scaggs. I've talked about this before. Boz has this piano that in part of the riff he goes boom, 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 boom. And on most systems, that last note is just gone. Not even there. You hear the top part of the key, but you don't hear the steady tracks. I mean, try it. See how it works on your system. But I would say 70, 80% of the systems that I have played that track, he hits that last note and you don't hear it at all. So that's a good one to do your final. I wouldn't tune it with that, but that's a good one to see how you did in your efforts to do that. So I hope that helps. We are working on a second, what we call ARD, the Audiophiles Reference. I wonder what the D would stand for. Can't think of it right now. But anyway, we call it the ARD series. So I'm doing one specifically on speakers. And there we're going to, instead of using that live bass from Chris Brunhaver, now we're going to use a Moog synthesizer. And it'll do the boom, 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 boom. And we're doing that because on a scope, on a, however, amplitude meter, that, because it's an electronic instrument, is perfect. Every single note is exactly the same amplitude. And so we can guarantee that when you get that smooth, then you're going to have it. So look for the new audiophile reference guide, The Speaker, which should be coming out by the time you see this video. All right. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later.